Flash games are important to me, and Arma Mayhem is one of the games that stand above the rest. The whole idea of the intro was to get you hyped for Arma Mayhem, or remind you of any of the games that you used to play. Plus, it was fun to edit. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Flash is 6 foot under, but Flashpoint. Flashpoint catalogs many games still inaccessible through a browser. It could very well be malware, but it's a small price to pay to have access to all of these free and great games. Newgrounds also appears to have a downloadable player, so that might be more up your alley. Now onto the review. Arma Mayhem was released in 2011 by Luisi. Now that name might not seem like much, but that's a big fucking name. If he most likely didn't speak French, then I'd say he greatly contributed to my childhood, and he has all my appreciation and thanks. I'll be focusing a lot on the negative. A lot of this comes from having an intense shooter on Flash and doesn't really speak to the game itself, but know that this is an amazing game and is well renowned for a good reason. A common trend that I've seen is that music makes this game, and sadly while I was recording, I wasn't able to play with music for the majority of it. And I have to partially agree with this sentiment. Without music, the game can feel hollow. With music, you can sometimes notice the hollowness, but it's a lot less present. Some sound effects on jumping, moving might start to fill up this dead air, but it's a pretty minor gripe. Speaking of the quality of the music, a much stronger criticism I have for this game is the AI. It has almost a random movement and then react to an encounter feel. In Deathmatch, this is pretty much a non-issue for you having fun as you're actively seeking out the AI to kill. Though it can make the game a little easier because you're the one going into conflict with the AI more than the AI is conflicted. For data capture, the priority of the AI is on fighting rather than scoring, meaning that you can easily outpace the AI by just not taking fights. Due to accuracy and the nature of some weapons, you can usually get away with just jumping over somebody and running off with the data and capturing it, making the AI rather pathetic. Map control works well in my opinion. Overdrive is by far the worst offender for the weakness of the AI. This is where the random movement and respond really becomes apparent, because you can just go to the corner of the map, wait, maybe move in sort of a way such that you avoid the AI, or as I said before, you can just jump over them and escape, and wait again. I think the longest I managed to go was like 2 minutes. No interaction with the AI. You just see them jumping around, doing who knows fucking what. For the AI, I'd be more lenient if the game didn't encourage a fast time in order to get a gold on the levels. It sort of exacerbates problems with the AI. Like in Overdrive, if you die, there's a good chance you could lose getting a gold medal. So why would you ever engage with them? You just hide. It's almost like poor gameplay is encouraged in that respect. Building on that, a diversity of objectives to perform well in a level would be better in my opinion. Such as reaching a certain kill streak in Deathmatch could encourage you to play more safe and rack up kills rather than just going guns blazing. The kill streak sound almost does this already. Thinking about it, reaching a certain kill count on Overdrive would cover some of the shortcomings of the AI, though it would make it more difficult. But I feel like something like that could have been implemented rather than just using times as a benchmark for performance. Another criticism comes from the levels used in data capture. Some levels featured 3 teams in a vertical map, and what would happen is everyone would flock to the middle, so they're at a significant disadvantage because it's just a firefight. And then people would fall down to the bottom, whereas you generally start at the top. You just walk down, avoid the fight, and run around. and that's data capture. In terms of weapons, I have to say they're pretty amazing. They all generally feel pretty different. The Needler is worse than the basic weapon. Never pick it up, but overall they all sort of have a niche and they change your play style based on what you have. So I'd say that they're really, really well implemented. A light issue was lag, but this is probably more on my end than what you'll experience because I had recording going on in the background and probably a few tabs knowing me when it specifically states for you to close them. So hopefully you don't experience this. Now, I must reiterate this again, so my opinion doesn't come out of left field. For a Flash game, many of these issues are understandable, and the others are pretty nitpicky, as AI is a complex issue and is computationally expensive. Designing a map to suit data capture in a 2D environment sounds like a pain, and the map might suck for other game modes, but still, hollow sound effects, objective diversity, and weapon balancing are small enough criticisms that I feel would elevate the game quite a lot. And for what the game was going for, I think this prevents it from being a perfect game. For a Flash game, I give it an easy 4.5 out of 5. It's well above average. It's got small issues, but I recommend it. So good for a Flash game. One of the best in my opinion. And for a game outside of that context, probably 3.5 out of 5. It's fun, it's enjoyable, all those things, but the shortcomings of Flash start to weigh more on it. This game can never live up to the memories I have of it. It sits on a pedestal as one of the best games from Flash. I played Flash religiously as a kid, but still, it exceeded my expectations. Even if not perfectly polished, it's still a fun game, and I recommend you try it even if you didn't play it.